Hello, hello, family. Welcome back. Hello to the panel. We've grown
Peace.
a little bit, y'all.
Yeah, it's quite a few,
Yeah,
about this
quite a
many.
few. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, tell your family, your friends about us, your baby daddy, baby mama. We ain't got time for drama tonight. Listen, we got a bunch of new faces out here tonight. We got T Heart, we got IC, we got Mars back in the building, Coach G, we got Jamel, we got Flex. Look, we got everybody. Why? Because tonight we are literally about to do part two of the love letter to women. So we're gonna go ahead and kick this outro or intro, I should say, and we will get it going.
I'm writing this, try not to cry. You stabilize my environment, inspired when you have my eye. My youth was consumed by vain beauty. Little did I know that vanity could masquerade the unruly. Coolly high love times, we reminisce, paint a vivid picture. Rush to come and lift. And I don't want to see another sister get left up creep by another mister. Patience, no longer taking advantage of your innocence. Genetically superior, I had the vision this.
Yes. Listen, I don't get tired of that, man. Women's World by Coach G, aka Furious Styles, aka Trey G, and also my husband, y'all. So listen, this is a little bit of part of the Culture Podcast. We have it every other Wednesday. But tonight again, you're here for something great. Okay. When I tell you something great, it's because we are literally ending Women's Month with allowing for our men, one, to share their hearts, but also us females coming together and supporting you all. So I'm gonna stop talking and allow for the panel to introduce themselves. Let's go ahead and start with Mr. T Hart up here.
Hello, guys. How you guys doing?
Man, we're doing good, man.
That's good, man. My name is Torrance Hart. I'm kind of new to the podcast game. I've been knowing Flex, the producer, for years. I've been knowing the IC for a few years. Just met these other geek gentlemen that's on the podcast and enjoyed meeting them and talking, spending time with them and talking with them. For myself, I spent about 8 years in the military. Last 20 years, I've been working in the prison system. And now I decided to dip my feet in this podcast game. So this is my very first show. And I'm just excited to be part of this. I'm glad he invited me. So I'm ready to get going, guys.
Good deal, man.
Ooh, we get to introduce you to this world. I'm so excited now. I see you a new face. And listen, y'all, I see as a special guest tonight. All right. We wanted to make sure that there were two queens up here to be able to share our heart. So I see, introduce yourself, Queen.
Well, I am Inspirational Chic on the podcast. Basically, the floor is yours. I'm in the love relationship and faith on the other end. I am a mother of three, hairstylist of 27 years, but I am truly light, love, and inspiration. And this is very befitting for me to be on tonight, especially when I saw the love note to women. And I think it was the love note period, well, love letter. I talk about love notes. So I always, on the podcast that I'm on with Gerard, I basically sit and I listen. So I'm not the scripted person. I listen. And what I do is I gather what everyone has said and I put it in a dialogue and I give an inspirational love note at the end. So when I saw this was like, wait a minute, this is my vein. I want to be over there with him. And I've learned to love on men differently and to understand their heart from the inside. That's not really shared. So I won't go any deeper than that, but I am honored to be here with you all so that I can just, flow the way I'm normally flowing. So I am glad to be here.
Oh, welcome, Queen. Jamel, you back down there. Introduce yourself again to the people.
What up? I am Jamel J. Facts Lashley, host of the Facts Only podcast, empiricism coach, and just a general overall dope Brooklyn dude.
Brooklyn.
I appreciate y'all for having me. I'm excited to go ahead and continue this conversation from last time.
Awesome. Thank you for coming back, Mars.
Thanks, Ms. Luna. How you guys doing? My name is Mars. I am a mental health advocate with a focus for the youth, trying to educate them about their mental health and then watch them flourish through different avenues than shooting stuff up and gang banging and rapping and all that stuff. So that's my focus, and I like to talk. So that led me to this podcast, and here we are.
Awesome. Coach G.
What's up? What's up? What's up? Peace, world, peace. Again, I go by Coach G, part of the Culture Podcast. I bring wisdom, I bring an understanding, coolness, but just above, I seek to just provide my experiences to these conversations. I think today is rather unique from the time that we got the initial idea of it to now seeing how it's kind of come together and the different personalities. I really am looking forward to it, and I know we all have something unique to contribute. So yes, peace to the panel. It's great to see you all.
All right. Last but not least, Flex the producer.
Hey, just here so I don't get fined, man. Y'all know me. Hey, get this thing going, man.
Well, real quick, I'm Luna. I'm the other half of Culture Podcast. I'm coming to you as a mental health expert. But tonight, I'm just moderating, y'all. The last show, we spent some time allowing for the men to express their love to women in our community. It was a beautiful sight just to see 4 men come together and literally say, women, I love you. Women, I'm here. Women, I'm here to support you. Women, I'm here to provide for you. Like, I want to do different so I can be different and be an example, not just to you, but to my children. But this time, tonight, we're going to take a little different approach. And it kind of got sparked by just different things that happened. We'll dabble into that a little bit. But anytime a person is pouring themselves into someone else, they just like to be acknowledged. You know, we live in a world where people hate the word validation. You know, you shouldn't need validation. If that was the point, we'll be on this earth by ourselves. So tonight we really want to talk about how can we show up and acknowledge our men for wanting to do different and being different. So to the panel, how important is it to you to be acknowledged for what makes you feel appreciated?
I would like to start. The importance of being acknowledged is not even in a pick me sense, but what it does is it allows the person that you're doing it for really the recognition to see it. So you're pouring out. It's almost like an art. Love could be looked at like an art. And as you are displaying, as you're giving that art, you do it for the world to see realistically. And in some cases, many cases, men are women, our wives are our world. So there is no greater feeling than, it could be the smallest thing, but for her to notice that smallest thing, that builds so much of a confidence, just an awareness, of that relationship, because it shows a connection. I think without that validation, without that value, or at least knowing, then you really don't have a connection, because without that, there's really no way of communicating.
Okay.
Facts.
I think for me, I'd say definitely Coach G. It is an art. Just talking to women itself is an art, or the opposite sex, whoever you find attractive or whatever you're trying to talk to them, it's an art. It's kind of like poetry or something like that. It's always going to be an art, and then how you get them to react the way you want them to, or so it's always an art. And then on the other flip side of that is that you have to show what you want, and when you show what you want, that woman will always be ready to give it back to you. And when she's giving it back to you, that's when you'll be able to prove what you're doing. And I think that's the biggest thing, is being able to prove that by just being a role model. And I think people don't understand. It's unfortunate that women aren't always a role model, but a man will always be a role model to somebody, just for some reason, just because they have that stigma of supposing to be a role model, that liability of supposing to be a role model. So you're always going to be a role model to somebody as a man. So you should always be proving without even trying to.
Yeah, I agree with you, Maz. I agree. The idea of needing validation is, I think, my personal opinion, a human thing. Everybody wants to know that they're important to somebody, you feel me, or valuable. I mean, if we really want to break the word down, if val speaks to value, you know what I'm saying, validation. You let that person know that they have some type of price point in your life that means something. It's, you know what I'm saying, it's important. So, concerning the idea of validation and it being a necessity, without getting too far ahead of myself, because I feel like we just kind of glossing over it right now. I think we got to take the crickets with the straights. You know You know what I'm saying? It's important to want to be validated. You know what I'm saying? But the external validation should be more of a confirmation of what it is you possess within yourself. And I know, especially as a man, you know what I'm saying? It's things are kind of more. It's a little bit more difficult because you got to be self-sufficient. You feel me? You're not supposed to really lean too heavy on anybody else from a societal perspective. You feel me? But yet, at the end of the day, that robs you of your humanity and what makes you human. It's a really conflicting place. You got to find that balance. But I'm gonna leave it there. You know what I'm saying? And pass the mic for now.
Right. My thoughts on it. It is important to be validated or to feel validated. I'm a father, and luckily of 3 daughters, and it's weird because I worked in the prison for so long. I was this tough guy, but how do I turn it on and be sensitive enough to your daughter's needs, especially teenage daughters, to be there for them and for them to say, "I love you. Hey, Dad, let me take your boots off," or whatever it is. That meant a lot to me. And now I got a young 12-year-old, and it was my birthday recently the other day, and she texted me, "Hey, Dad, I love you. Happy birthday." She was the first one out the box, and it just took me over the moon just for her to say that. Of course, me being a tough guy, I don't come home and show it to her though. That's what I got to work on. And it's kind of interesting. I'm in the podcast with all you mental health coaches because I'm bridging the gap with this generational thing. I come from a generation where you just rub dirt on it and keep it going. Now it's so much emphasis on mental health. I'm learning as we go too. So I'm trying to raise a new generation, a TikTok generation of kids with my rub the dirt on the mentality. It's tough.
See how if I made 2 things. One, to some extent you can't teach an old dog new tricks. You kind of got to learn at your own pace. So give yourself grace as you learn it. But 2, can we switch kids? Because I love if my kids were that attentive to me. You crazy? Oh my God.
Yeah,
I love that.
TikTok 4-year-old.
Yo,
if I could just add on there, when I was coming up with that specific question as a lead in, what brought it about is I think as a society, we all know how important it is to be validated, but not by anybody. Those who are closer to you in proximity, your spouse, your children, if you're at work, those who are, if it's your supervisor and your peers. But the thing that came to mind is how that's weaponized. We know that is necessary, but people will use what's necessary to weaponize you. So sometimes it comes in the form of we're giving you enough to keep you there, but not enough to make you feel, value. And I'll also add that there is a difference. In my mind, I recognize a difference between feeling needed and feeling valued. And the reason I say that is that any man can go, and I'm talking to a panel of men here, any man can go out and pay bills and mortgage and cut the grass and all that. But when you that's just I just need you around the house to do some things. But when you're valued, man, it's just fuel to you being the best version of you possible. So that's to tie back into how important it is to be acknowledged and appreciated. I mean, we can be tough as we need to be because we're resilient, but we talked about before that I think it's time out for us to make that the norm. Being resilient shouldn't be my norm. Right. Like I want to be able to come home and know that my spouse values me, not just need me there, but she values me. So I think it's important.
So the dope part is when you think of value, like being validated, it literally is giving value in this day. That's what it is. Ooh. And a lot of times what people end up doing is you say, well, I don't need to say thank you for the things that you're supposed to do. So for example, today was trash day. So my husband knows that wifey ain't gonna go and take the trash bag. Like I'm expecting you to do that, but I'm still gonna give you value in this day to say, hey, thank you, babe, when you come in the house. But sometimes we have so many adults right now that's emotionally stunted because as they were growing up, our parents did not want to say congratulations or I'm proud of you when you did things that you were supposed to have done. So if I get good grades, you ain't getting a thank you. But if I bring in a C or a D, you gonna tell me how bad I am. So the mentality that we have is I'm always bad. So now it's a bigger thirst to be valued. And I think as women, we need to do a better job. And I'm talking to me, actually placing value on our men in real, not when things get tough, not when you see that he is having a hard moment but practicing daily when he does the little things. Oh, thank you for that. Thank you for saying you love me. Thank you for loving me. I love you too. Like being able to have that type of correspondence, because your children is watching that. And if you don't do it with your spouse, I'm here to tell you, sadly, some of y'all are harming your kids because you're not doing it for your kids either. So it's this thing of we're not placing value in our days. So I see, listening to this, what do you think women could do to start placing value on our men in real time now?
For me, it's about tending when you could, because you can love something and not value, because when you value something, you tend to it. And when I say that, that means like when men buy watches or they buy cars or expensive things, they make sure that they're going to watch their car a certain day. They're going to make sure that this watch is put in a specific place. Of things of value, it's a little bit more attention put on it. Well, for me, when it came down to tending to a man, I had to learn that they've been taught from a young age to not show emotions, to not be able to express how they feel. So they've had to internalize every dysfunction without having a safe place to come to. So what I've learned to do, I heard him say balance, and Gerard and I have talked about this before. When I began to understand men, it was about using a plant analogy, and it was meaning that there were three things that were necessary, and that was sunlight and fertilizer. And either I could either give too much to my mate or not enough to it, and I could kill it either way. Too much of it's gonna kill it, and not enough was going to kill it. So learning how to balance what is the needed place for the man. I need him to know that if he needed to lay his head on his shoulder, that it is okay for him to yield the brokenness or the dysfunction that was never discussed or talked about in his life, that I was that place that he could come to without feeling that if he told me that I would use it against him later, because sometimes we'll use what they say back against them and talk to them in a manner of which they're a child. So even as moving forward, I was telling Gerard, I began to look at, even when we're dating, because I'm divorced now, but even when I begin to date, looking at when I would say this is, or we say this is my boyfriend. Well, I'm not with a boy anymore. I'm with a man. And if I'm going to address him as what he is to me, this is either my guy, this is my man, or this is the gentleman that I'm dating. But it is no longer that I address him as a boy, because he's not my child. He's not somebody that I'm trying to raise. He's somebody that has gotten to a place, that he has developed into a place that is where he is needed, is what I need him to be in my life, or what we need to be with one another. If that sums it up.
That's heavy.
Okay.
That's heavy.
All right. I have to pull back. I feel my spirit up there.
It's okay. We're gonna pass the plate. It's okay. I make sure they get your cash app at the end. That was I got hot my own self. Okay. So men, how can we as women create a safer space for you to feel valued, so that you can show up 100% yourself?
So my 2 cents on this specific topic. I believe women are born knowing their abilities and powers on how to navigate the world, let alone how to deal with a man. My 2 cents. It's kind of annoying to me when I hear people say, oh yeah, well, they got to be taught. Yeah, some things are to be taught, but there's a lot of things that come ingrained in us. For example, if I see somebody being hurt, I don't need nobody to tell me not to do anything. I feel driven to do something. You understand what I'm saying? It's encoded within me. Likewise, as a woman, you guys, I use this analogy a lot. You guys are meant to give men the necessary adversity to grow. You understand what I'm saying? You guys shake things up. It bothers me that maybe it's a mental thing, you know what I'm saying? Maybe it's a fight or flight thing, given experiences and things of that nature. But it bothers me that you guys can use your skills so well for the negative, but when it comes to the positive, you don't necessarily know how to inspire and manipulate us to do what it is that you want us to do. You understand what I'm saying? You have the ability, you know how to shake stuff up. If you want me to take the trash out, you start huffing and puffing, slamming the door. You know what I'm saying? You closing the cabinets, you know what I'm saying? You cooking, you slamming the pots or whatever the case may be. You walking in front of the TV, you feel me? And what's going to end up happening? I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna get up. You know what, baby? I'm gonna take this trash out. You know what I'm saying? Now, what just happened there is that, look, I saw you in this situation, uncomfortable, doing the things to make me get uncomfortable in order to do what it is that you need me to do. Much like I was saying on the last segment, you guys tend to, when you lack, it gives us the purpose to fill that emptiness. You understand what I'm saying? But it's up to you to let us know, hey, look, hey, bruh. You know what I'm saying? You got to get it popping here. Likewise, within ourselves.
So I just want to make sure I'm hearing you, Jamel. Are you saying that they're doing it to manipulate, because my
I-
issue. Go
honestly, with that word, I hate that I have to use that word, right? But realistically, manipulate isn't just a negative thing. You understand
Not
what I'm
always
saying?
negative.
We
Right.
manipulate recipes in order to make them better. You understand what I'm saying? We manipulate code in order to create apps and platforms that we're using, much like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. But for whatever reason, when it comes to us manipulating our lives or our significant others in order to get a positive response, we're afraid of that word. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I guess what I'm saying more than that is, are you saying people that use bad behavior to get what they want, or
Yeah, no.
negative?
Naturally, for whatever reason, and this is a man or woman thing. You understand what I'm saying? But specifically with women, y'all have the power of persuasion. That's something that we don't possess. You understand what I'm saying? You don't really have to do much for us to get it shaken. You know what I'm saying? You bat your eyelashes. You feel me? I'm being honest. You bat your eyelashes. You sashay across. We will literally move things and make things happen for your sake. The very world that we live in. Homes are built to make you comfortable. Bridges are built for you to be able to cross not puddles but rivers. You understand what I'm saying? We didn't do that for ourselves. You understand what I'm saying? I hate to use a very crass example, but Jay-Z talk about the power of the P. You feeling the rest of this? You understand what I'm saying? It's the reason why a man get a haircut, dress fly, buy a car, get a house, have a job. We would literally do nothing. You understand what I'm saying? Without your influence. What I'm saying is, if you guys use your influence to manipulate us for the better, you'd be able to literally change the world overnight. So in my 2 cents, I don't think I have to tell you, black woman, how to do that. You know how to do it. You understand what I'm saying?
And that's the point I was getting at. So if we're having to come at a person in a negative sense to get them to do something, I think that's setting a bad precedence in your relationship.
Absolutely.
Hey, all I have to do is get angry or get upset or get a little attitude, and then he's going to move. It might work, but I just think it's a bad.
What I've learned is that when I heard that statement, it took me back to operating in a masculine energy that women have gotten so comfortable doing. Instead of just saying, I've learned that now it is okay for me to be independently dependent. That means I can do it. I don't have to do it. And now I have to get to the place that it's okay for me to say, baby, I need you to take out the trash. Or, sometimes instead of having that huffing and that puffing, it's just like, well, babe, before the night is over, can you please, remember to take out the trash? It's just simply, if we don't learn how to dialogue with one another. I've learned, this was something that came up. I was at a restaurant, and what I'm learning to operate is in the feminine part of me now, because I've been independent and I know what it is to take care of me and everything else. But we can be out and about, and we can be in a restaurant and the man is holding the door, but our girlfriend, we're both all going out the same door. We'll go out the door that our girlfriend is opening because we know her. Well, there was another man holding the door yesterday, and I said, well, you know what? Even though you're holding the door, I'm going to go out on his side. I wish you could have saw how that man was like,
I'm telling you.
Because now it was the fact that I was saying there is a man present that is willing to do these things. And I can be honest, there's some times that I've missed this, but I've grown and matured in some areas. So that means that if I'm at a banquet or something, I will be more, we used to letting our sisters grab our hands and walk up the stage. If there are men in the room, I now have the capability to say that I can relinquish this role and say, and even if he's married, man, do you mind if your husband helps me up? Or if there's a man there, sir, can you help me up the stairs? That's allowing a man to know that I have a voice to say, I need you, because in relationships, we need each other. And Absolutely. It's nothing wrong with saying it. And I mean, I don't want to have to huff and puff anymore to get the trash taken out. I just want to simply say, baby, the trash is there.
It's starting to stink, Daddy-O. You got to get this out the house.
Yeah, and I don't want to have to puff or walk around and in front of the TV. So because I've been there before, and sometimes you get the opposite of that. They still do it that way. My thing is when a man allows a woman to be able to say, I want to help you, or I'm in for the feedback. I've learned to say that if you allow me in there in that space, then I'm going to accommodate you by saying we can do this together.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I agree completely.
It's that togetherness part that I think a lot of people miss. And as far as how do women help with that part, it's that free space. So that free space itself is just asking, what does he want to feel validated? What does he need to feel validated? Because first, that's the same thing we have to do, vice versa. It's better to just ask a woman, because a woman will play around sometimes until they learn, like this, I see, that I've grown and it's not a boyfriend anymore. It's a man, and I'm dealing with this or real life situation, even though he acts like a boy. If you realize that free space, and then just ask instead of assumptions. You know what I mean? Even with nice things, I noticed that even when I try to be nice, sometimes it's not received that way. You know what I mean? And just like, what is this? And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I thought I was being nice. You know what I mean? And if I just asked, it might have been alleviated or missed that. As well as Miss Icy said that some women have that I don't need a man attitude anymore now. That's just how our generation has been, and then a little bit ahead of it. It's that's ruined a lot of situations in a lot of, because you're alleviating or you're eliminating something that could be beautiful just by saying I can handle this, or there's sometimes there's just times to be. And somebody said I heard a post today about submissiveness, right? And just like the other word, it's misconceived as negative. It's not negative to be submissive. Sometimes it's just about being a role. A man can be submissive, but if we don't have that free space of vulnerability and that value that the women can actually give us with that persuasion, you know what I mean? Because we're already being vulnerable in that self, going to receive that persuasion in itself. We're being vulnerable, so we have that free space. Sometimes we just don't feel that. You know what I mean? And sometimes it just becomes about the persuasion. I saw some good stuff on the thing about some recent stuff that happened in everybody's sides, but nobody was talking about their space and who had the space to talk about the situation. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah. So this is a good question right here. I want somebody to take this. Candace, it's a real question. I get it all the time. I've sat on a panel of men to women, and they ask us, but why do we have to continually ask the man to do
3 seconds?
So go ahead. You good?
No, please. No, you please take over. I want you to take over first.
No, you're fine. I will say at the end of the day, we got to realize that we're all just big kids. And happen, you stop growing at the moment of trauma. So when we go into relationships, we feel like that relationship is going to cover. It should be 2 whole people that come into one, not 2 halves and nowhere whole. So when you understand that, you will realize that people behaviors is not personal to you, but it's their childhood. So if they didn't get an example, then they don't see that. So sometimes you may have to ask 3, 4, 5 times. Like when we do operant conditioning, it's not just the first time the dog listens to the whistle and know it's time to eat the steak. Like it has to be 15 times sometimes. And I think what we end up doing for our men and we get in relationships, we just think automatically they know what we need. Arguments happen for one reason only: unmet expectations. But if you don't hate the expectation of your brain, then that person is never going to meet that expectation. Now I'm mad, and now I'm behaving for 2 different ways: to either keep something from going or to stop it from happening. So if know that if I get him to take out the trash, then not only is he going to take out the trash, but he's going to come in and get a little cookie because he did what I told him to do.
Yes,
so
yes.
He wants that out. So we have to understand that we're conditioning our men to not show up, because if he don't do it, then we do it, and then now we mad that he don't.
Now you mad, Luna. Listen to old folks.
And then even still in that, doing all that as a woman, keeping asking 3 or 4 times. I think Candace asked, why do we have to ask? Because it's showing that we have value to you when you keep asking, you keep caring, you keep reaching out.
Let me say about the asking. It's amazing how we'll be at a job and we can ask somebody 3 or 4 times to do something. And we don't have that. We don't have a problem with that. But we'll go home and we'll do the same thing. I'm just saying we have this line that because it's the job that's how it is. When I get home, it shouldn't be that way. It should just be across the board. And I don't feel like if something needs to be done, or even if I need something or he may need something, in order to get it done, there has to be the question that has to come out of one another's mouth. And we have just not been taught to communicate. Or if we do, we comprehend. We don't communicate to comprehend. Let me say that. We'll listen to what's being said and we'll take the negative part of it instead of collectively understanding what the sentence is saying. And we just jump on that one thing. My thing is, it'll never get done. Or even if I asked you to do it at the same time, if it's not done the way I want to, then I got to complain about that. Oh, you missed a spot on the window. Well, at least he washed the car, or different things like that. And we can be so technical in things that make simple things that could be just something where we can meet in the middle and we can be there half the time of what we got going on. Either instead of us meeting in the middle of the ring together, one is in the corner, the one is in the middle waiting, and then one finally wants to come to the middle, other one back in the corner. We never get to the middle to say this is where we're working this thing out together. And once again, I'm gonna keep iterating this. This came from me because I had to grow through some relationships, whether they lasted or they ended. If they ended, there was something that I got from it that I was gonna do better.
Let me tell you something.
So here's the thing I want people to think of, and I want to hear Coach G and T Hart on this one, because what I've heard from some women is not that it's action, it's when it becomes neglect. When you are at the house acting like you're not a partner, and one feels like that they're constantly shouldering the load. And I think that may be what Candace is coming from. Like, hey, it's not that she has to keep asking this. And I think that's a symptom of what a bigger issue is. And I think that there may be some neglect going on, and sometimes in these instances. And I want to hear Coach G and T Hart.
Yeah, I would start. It's similar to what Lona was saying, and I can speak from experience. So we talked about being stunted at a certain age, and I could kind of really go back to being valued, and then being able to communicate that value, and how at times, if you don't feel valued, almost kind of depression will kind of kick in. You know, with depression kicking in, you get forgetful. You start to not do certain things, not even realizing that you're not doing it. But one thing I could say, especially in feeling value, I was raised in a single parent household by my mother. When I say I've seen my mother do everything, I've seen her do everything. And I hope if she hears this, I hope it doesn't rub her the wrong way. I have seen her do everything except be in love with a man.
Wow. Wow. Same.
So the manship or headship that most people would expect, the reality is I've never seen it ever. In fact, the way that I learned to repair a battery or a car was I had to get a job working at AAA, because there was no one ever in 22 years to show me how that particular subject or situation would be handled. So the very first time I was able to change my wife's battery and we took a picture, she could see the smile on my face, because I learned to do something that in many cases, had I not known how to do it before, I probably would have been belittled. Like, you're a man, you don't know how to change a battery in a car, you know, different things like that. So I can say there was a lot of patience from my wife. There's also a level of maturity that men must have as well. Because you may not know, but at some point we got to get to a point where we start seeking as well. Yeah. So that neglect part, you know, men have to man up. You know, we got to man up. We do have to start reaching out, getting in these networks, groups like this. Had I not known how to repair a car battery up until today, I'm pretty sure one of you all gentlemen might be able to assist. So I'm saying all of that. We can't do it alone. You know, we can't do it on our own. But we also got to keep in mind where we're coming from and be honest with that, and then be honest in our growth. Because without the being honest in growth, we'll never fully admit, hey, I was never really shown that. So I'm really not sure where to go in that next step.
Coach G, can I tell you, you blessed me right there, because I'm a mother, but I only have one son, and I've seen this. But what I always have said was this: I was raised by my mother. No father was in the household. I knew of my dad, but at the time he wasn't active. So what I learned in the midst of it all was this: because I never saw my mother give love, I didn't know what that was to be able to do it going forward with a man. But if I've never seen my dad give it, I didn't know what to accept. So everything begins to be trial and error when we come into relationships. So truly, when we come into relationships, we are part of the dysfunction that our parents never speak about. And what we do is we carry this on into our own lives, pouring it out into our own children. And with the exception if we choose to change before them, to say that I've missed it along the way, I've done it differently. So even though I have a daughter now that's married, she's the purest form of me that I could ever want it to be. But to see her actually operating in a place of a pure love that tends to her and she tends to him, it blows my mind, because she didn't see that with me. What she did was, I always say that there's a little girl watching me, and this goes for men too. There's a little girl watching me. How will I influence and impact her life? Well, I have 2 daughters and 1 son. And so I'm either teaching them that this is the way you look at hurt relationships, or you go a different direction and you take a different path. And so because she took a different path, you know what I get to say now? Even looking at my son, I get to say I got it right. Even if I came from 2 pint-sized parents, that now I'm this 10-gallon ball of light that they couldn't show me the way. But I've learned along my mistakes and everything that it can change. And so to know that you got it, you got this battery put on, and you had a wife that celebrated you, but then it was this joy that you had to know that you accomplished it without having that male figure there. I say salute, and I give you, look, I always do this, so just forget. I give you flowers, okay? There were you some flowers, baby. Yes, okay.
Well, my thing is, I've been married 22 years, and when you come out of the house, all you got is the influence of your parents, like we all speaking on. And you don't know that you got flaws because all you're hearing is what your mom or your dad is telling you. And then when you go into this partnership, then you have to try to bring all your life skills compared with their life skills. And then it goes all the way back to what Flex said earlier about the conversations become weaponized. Like my wife can tell me, why don't you take out the trash? And I take total offense to that. And it's crazy. And this is real life. This happens. Or I wonder why she hadn't cooked after I worked all day. And I'm really wondering why you hadn't cooked something. I'm hungry. But why is there not a space so we can just conversate about it? It turns into weaponry. And then it's like IC said about being in the middle of the ring and going back to the corner. That's what happens in my household a lot, where we, instead of just meeting in the middle, talking about it, having the conversation, instead of weaponizing the conversation, and then everybody's quiet. The whole house is quiet for the night. We make the kid go to bed, put the dog up, everybody go to bed. It's over. So it's all about the old saying, conversation rule the nation. That's what it is. Even in marriage, that's been going on 20 years. Conversation rule the nation. You got to have that grown-up talk, and you got to express yourself. And going back to what I said earlier about coming from your own upbringing with somebody else's upbringing, which could be totally different, that's when you got to have this conversation. And I was thinking when IC was talking about, Flex, if you could just meld all your podcasts together, because this goes back to that podcast y'all had, the show you had about talking it out on dates. Remember the first date? It goes back to all that. If you could just string all this together, man, it'd be perfect, because it tells you how to do it step by step. You guys got a great thing going here.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Listen, y'all. So I feel that there are some men that feel like they're in a space where their needs and their wants get overshadowed. And I think a lot of it goes back to communication. You know, no person can really read your mind. There's this thing that's called love languages, and each person have a different love language. So for example, mine is words of affirmation. That's just a fancy way of saying validation all the time. So I like to hear how my husband feels, where his is quality time. That means no phone, no computer, no nothing, just me and him. I do a horrible job. I'm working on it. But that's his way of me showing him that I love him. So when he's with me, I'm like, because I don't hear it, I don't think you love me, and vice versa. Because when I'm with you and I'm not fully being invested and I'm doing all these other things, then you don't think that I love you. It's so many of us in relationships where one person speaking English and the other person speaking Chinese, and we're trying to figure out why we're not understanding each other. It comes down to a point where you got to kind of sit each other down and say, look, this is how I communicate. These are my expectations. These are my goals. It is okay to tell your spouse, I need you to show up in this way. I need you to talk this way. I need, if you don't do this, I don't care what we do, I'm never going to know, you know, how you feel about me. And it kind of goes back to, and I don't want us to lose sight of a really important thing tonight. So everybody know about the whole Will Smith and Chris Rock.
Oh, here we go.
Of what everybody else has done. I just want to know overall, what's your thoughts? Because one thing that my husband reminded me of, he said, babe, whether he would have smacked him or not smacked him, somebody would have said he made the wrong decision. So either way, regardless of which way he turned, somebody would have said he was wrong. So, men, what do y'all think about that situation?
So to summarize that, right, while including what it is that Marcus was saying in the comments, considering how easy it is to please a man, I don't know if you guys read Will's book. Having the slightest idea if y'all read Will's book or if y'all been following any of the things that he be talking about. My 2 cents, especially after being in therapy for a year and a half and being Will Smith myself, he doesn't understand that he has to put himself first and that a relationship goes both directions. He's under the impression that if he just keeps on doing that, eventually she will do also. Now, this is where it gets really interesting when men say that their needs tend to be overlooked or overshadowed. It's not that your needs get overlooked or overshadowed. You got to actually stand firm on saying, hey, listen, this is how, outside of saying this is how I need love, you know what I'm saying? This is how I speak love. You may not see that I'm showing up in your life in this way, which is why you're not showing up in my life in the way that I need you to. You understand what I'm saying? We talk about love languages in a one directional way. I need words of affirmation, or I need acts of service. Well, what does your significant other speak? You see what I'm saying? What language is your significant other speaking that you're overlooking? You understand what I'm saying? And in those cases, I don't think it's so easy, which is why it goes back to communication, much like what Luna was saying. The Will Smith situation is ugly. It's super one-sided, and I hate it. It feels to me like he lived a life of happy life, a happy wife, happy life, and it kind of culminated to this very point where he, unfortunately, it is as if you read his book. If you haven't read his book, please, by all means, please check it out. He's very much so in a codependent relationship, and I'm not a therapist. I don't want to diagnose nothing, but being somebody that was in one, I know what the signs look like based on what I read. And in my personal opinion, he was pressured and acted out emotionally, very ignorantly. I feel like that went the wrong direction. Yes. Right. Was it a lose-lose situation? Absolutely, but only according to everybody's perspectives. You're going to have anything in life is going to have 50% of people on one side and 50% of people on the other. You understand what I'm saying? It's up to you to differentiate whether one side is better or, more correct than the other. That's what it comes down to. So, yeah, he would have been wrong to somebody, but if he's wrong to the right somebody, then who cares?
I mean, my thoughts there, like you said earlier, the power of persuasion. Because you remember when they first panned to him, he was laughing at the joke. Then when he looked back over his shoulder, this when he got the go-ahead, so to speak. I hate to call it that, but when she wasn't happy, like you said, happy wife, happy life. My opinion, she could have stopped that, more than she started it. That's my opinion. And Will has been taking a brunt. If you think about it, Will been a butt of jokes for the last 2 to 5 years. And he just erupted like a volcano. His kids, they off their rocker. You don't know if they girls or boys. It's just a lot going on with Will Smith. And then that night, his mom didn't even come to the ceremony. They knew he was going to probably win that Oscar. And that hurt him that his mom didn't show up. He's very into his mom, like you said, in his book, like he's saying. So I think Jada, she could have done a lot to stop that. Women do run the world, so to speak, and that was her moment right there. That was her moment, I think.
For me, let's say this. Everybody, you should know it's a 50-50. It was a lose-lose situation, right? You got to admit, Will did it in style. He lost in style, number one. But to actually get to the blunt of it, I'm going to just say this. I'm going to quote somebody. Dearly beloved, we have gathered here today to get through this thing called life. Everybody know who that is. You should know who that is. That's my man named Prince. Rest in peace. So the irony of that song is that it's called Let's Go Crazy. Life will make you crazy. Life is crazy. And when you're talking about two people, you're bringing in two crazy lives, two crazy journeys, right? You never know what you're going to get, right? And especially with, like my man's T just said, my man's he been a tea kettle for 2 years, 3 years. Right. He just had that transgender Laverne just a month ago say something, and
right.
He was very calm in that, and that was worse. So you never know. And also, I'm gonna tell you this: you cannot tell somebody how to react. All of our reactions are our own. We react no matter if he was laughing at his reaction to the joke was a laugh, and then his reaction to his wife was a slap the heck out of somebody, right?
Yes.
So our triggers, just like you put it in the gun, bullet in the gun, you shoot that trigger. There's no destination for that bullet. You never know how that reaction is going to go or how it's going to be received. And that's just what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'll say this about it, man. I just hate that people put the focus on what Will did. And I've even watched people say that Chris Rock is the stand-up guy because he did not respond to the violence. And I say this, he ain't a stand-up guy because he was the way he responded to how he acted to Jada. Jada has shared how her condition has affected her mentally and emotionally, and for him to weaponize that information for a joke, I think it was very insensitive.
Fact.
So for them to say that, hey, he's a stand-up guy, I'm gonna be honest, he was a stand-up guy in that instant because he didn't want to get his butt kicked. Let's be honest. Am I advocating for violence? No, at all. But I'm saying in our society, and I posted it on my page, we are quick to forgive the offender in our society. We're quick to forgive the offender, but we put this expectation on the offended to be strong.
Yes.
Don't let it bother you. Let
Yes.
it roll off your back. And here we are in Women's History Month, and I think that that Chris Rock missed the opportunity to uplift Jada and people that's experiencing what she's going through with her condition. He had an opportunity to lift her up, let her know, like, hey, your hair does not define you. You know, here we are with that opportunity to do it on the world stage in front of millions of people, and he attacked her.
Honestly,
and so he's not a stand-up guy for me because he didn't swing back at Will Smith.
So realistically, I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna advocate for violence because he absolutely needed to be punched in the mouth. What I'm saying, is my position is not that he shouldn't have been punched in the mouth. I just think I'm very big on there's a time and a place. You understand what I'm saying? I don't care about the audience. I don't care about the people that was involved. We talking about literally. If you're gonna talk about, especially with Will's whole brand, especially now, being self-development and love and all these things, he literally has to go back and clean all that up and do all this. What Kanye West said, don't do something that you're gonna have to apologize for. You know what I'm saying?
People aren't perfect. People aren't perfect.
No, I got that. I mean, I'm not holding him to no crazy standard. What I'm saying is, I'm like, all right, Chris, I see you in the green room. And he got slapped. Just not in front of everybody. You know what I'm saying? He would have got slapped either way. At the end of the day, that man had a duty to protecting his woman. You understand what I'm saying? I just feel outside of dealing with, since we was talking about the man's feelings, whatever, let's remove the man's feelings from the situation. Duty comes down to him having to take care and defend his woman. That's just what it was. Regardless of whether or not he laughed at first, she was unhappy in that situation. He got to fix that. This is what I was talking about earlier about the power of persuasion. All she had to do was look. You understand what I'm saying? He got up and made it happen. You understand what I'm saying? So
exactly.
I'm saying,
No
if
matter
y'all got
what
that
y'all
kind
say,
of power
Will
in those
Smith was validated
circumstances,
last night.
And check it out.
no, of course.
For many years, especially in our neighborhoods, the thing was you better not talk about anybody's mama, right?
Facts.
I think we understand now you better not talk about anybody's wife either. In that same essence that people will lose all rules and protect their mama, I don't think we should again have an issue with someone again protecting their wife, because had he not, this whole conversation would be, hey, Will Smith really don't care. You know, like, we know where this would be going. So I even saw someone say it was almost, although it could have been like brand suicide, it was like it was the perfect time to do it. You know, even for him, whether if I agree or not, that was one of those collateral damage situations where, again, either way it was going to happen. And I feel that he stood where he felt. Because I tell you this, Malaurie has had to talk me out of many situations from just things that have just come up. So Will Smith is not isolated in what he was feeling, because this guy from Suffolk, Virginia has had to be talked out, you know, of similar situations. So if we want to blame Will Smith, then by all means give some of that blame to Coach G too, because I felt and wanted to do the exact same thing at times.
He didn't have to open-handed.
Coach G, can I elaborate what you just said? Because that's where I was going to go. You said that your wife has talked you out of some things, right? Well, I saw 3 different things. So I see this man that stands there, but there's this little boy that's showing up. And in the times that he wasn't able to defend his mother at 16, now he's got this space to say, you know what? I can finally stand up for somebody, so I'm going to do that. This number 1. For 2, like you said, it's a place and a time to handle things. But if we're now talking about tending to you as men in our lives, then somewhere I have to learn to now even watch out to protect you. At this state, Jada has a platform where she can stand up and be what she needs to be, even though he was in that position. It's okay to say, babe, you know what? You are a man. But in this instance, this is not. I'm not going to allow you to be hurt in anything. So she could have just, hey, I'm this woman. I'll be like this, baby. I know you can handle it, but this is what I would have done. You sit here. Now I see why everybody hates Chris. She had a right to be able to say something that could have navigated this thing totally different, as well as looking out to protect him, since he's always protecting her. I'm just saying that I've been in situations where a man has approached me, and because I know the demeanor of my husband at that time, I handled it. For one, you out of line, sir. For two, I'm gonna take care of this. Now, had I not been able to, then I'll go to my husband. But if I can protect him from not having to go into a place where it's gonna bring him out of character, I'm gonna step in at that point to say it's not going this far for him, because it ain't gonna take him out. It's not gonna take him to a place that's going to bring harm, shame, or anything to him. So now I'm gonna step in that place, because that's what a helpmeet is. I'm gonna help you meet and intervene in things that should not go down. I had to learn that. So I'm not gonna run everything. But had Jada been like, baby, I know you the man, and because of that, this is what I'm gonna say. I just would have stood up and said, now I understand why everybody hates Chris, and I would let that be that, and we would have set that together, and we would have rocked the night out.
Woo.
Facts. Absolutely. Preach, Pastor.
We need to sing an old hymn. Old grandma. So y'all, this was really, really dope. We're not finished yet, but we are going to go to commercial. And when we come back, we have a special treat to our men that is out there tonight, so that you can know that there are women who see you, love you, and really want to create a safe space for you.
Hey, so while we're getting the commercial ready, let's go through a couple of these comment. I almost wanted to talk about, because a lot of times we make it about an either or, and I like this one right here where if someone don't mind taking this one while we get the commercial ready.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'd say that. I read that. The both were in the wrong. Assault is unchecked. It's okay for some to assault others, but not others. I mean, it's each his own. Yeah, everybody's gonna have their opinion. Like we said, it was a lose-lose situation, to be completely honest. Violence obviously is not the answer, but then sometimes people gotta get slapped in the green room. You know what I mean? So, like we said, he was out of line. He knew that, and I think, as I was growing up as being a man, this is why we don't express our feelings, because as a man and a brother, I know that they put each other down in like times to seem higher in the group. And it happens all the time. Like some of my friends now that I'm kind of stepping away from, who I haven't even sent a link to my podcast and stuff from, you see what I'm saying? Because I'm growing, right? And they would try to put me down and be like, hey man, get out your feelings and go get some money. Yeah. You know what I mean? And stuff like that we have to get away from. And so I understand.
That's kind of the point.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, King.
No. I was just saying that's kind of the point from earlier with regards to perspective and him controlling himself. There's this weird narrative that manhood or being a man is somehow synonymous with maintaining emotional composure at all times. You understand what I'm saying? So, for example, manliness is measured in how much you can take. It's really weird. It's really, and it's like we all just got together one day, sat down, and was like, "Yep, that's what manliness is. How much you can take." You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna act out. That's a man. That's a real man. Which is why you see so many people celebrating Chris Rock. They call him a class act for taking the slap and not responding. You understand what I'm saying? It's from the societal measurement of endurance concerning manhood. Wow. That's why I said it's a lose-lose, like what Coach G was saying. You got 50% of people saying Will was soft and all that for the way he acted. You got the same 50% saying that Chris was the manly one. Then you got other people saying Will was tough because he was able to express himself in a very human way, while they calling Chris Rock the soft one. But my 2 cents on the situation, all we saw was two people get caught up in their humanity and everybody try to shut it down and steal it away.
And we have to be careful of the labels that we place. Like, who said he assaulted the dude? Like, we play on words. It's like, hey, like, I felt this type of way. I'm going to get up and respond to this way because you hurt my wife, you hurt me. And again, we want to say, I don't condone violence. Who said it's violent? Like, we have to be mindful of how we literally view some of these things. Like, we have to be able to have a safe environment for people to feel. You know, it's the same way we said spoil the child or spare the rod, spoil the child. You'll beat your kid, but if someone go up and smack a person in the face for talking about their wife, now we want to say it's violence. But isn't it violence?
Preacher.
Like, people got to understand, like, it's a bigger thing. So what I would say is we got to watch these labels. Everything is not an assault. Everything is not violence. This dude was not trying to be violent. He was in a actual response to how he felt. And when we do that, we can humanize the experience and not dehumanize him for showing up. And like I see this comment here where someone says that they have alopecia and it plays on. You don't know the conversations behind closed doors. What
right.
You don't know if that was the last straw for him. You don't know what he was trying to hold back on. So when we try to place terms like violence, assault, abuse, and things like that, there's some real people out here that are violent. And there's some people out here that's protecting. But that's all I got to say on that topic.
And as a hairstylist of 27 years, alopecia is really, it takes away from a woman's confidence. I mean, because of course, some of the hair is gone completely across the top. Most people don't even realize that's why you see some women that don't have eyelashes, or they don't have eyebrows, they don't have hair on their body. It's all different types of alopecia. So therefore, just like a man can feel like if he can't perform with his wife, you know, that doesn't make him feel like a woman. Some things take away from, we have issues too that we have to face, and most people don't look at that. But this is the first time that Chris has done indirectly something to Jada. I think one time she was protesting, he did it again at some awards before. So this isn't the first time that they had this crossover here. Then when you look at what he made about good hair, bad hair, well, you're not even a woman. So how dare you come into an arena that you don't even understand to make a whole movie to say this, that, and the other when you don't even live this lifestyle? That's like preachers want to preach on a woman with the issue of blood, but you ain't bleeding.
Hello.
You don't know. So some things we have to, know what lines to jump on and what lines not to cross. And so when you get there, we don't look at it like that. So yeah, I do, and they try to say that hers is allegedly out. She allegedly thinks that, no, I mean, there are scar tissues there. And even though she may have hair, other pluses, they probably try to do some type of hair implantation. Yeah. That's why she has the scar there. There are so much that goes with this. At the end of the day, he still was in a place of disrespecting her in a manner, and so many other women around the world. But like I said, hey, I could go all day long about it, but she's in a place of power and position too. Even though I feel like she is this master manipulation when it comes to being in control of the man that she's with. I can see that broken is there. But she could have used that platform to say, hey, she says that she's bold in this place and that she could stand on it. Hey, stand up and say, baby, let me tell you something. I wear this bald head because I choose to. And I want other women to know that it's okay, that you are not defined by your hair and all of these different things. So sometimes, like you said, we have to know how to this is my saying. You're going to digest me or regurgitate, but you don't have any A, B, C, D selections, because so many times we give people selections on how to handle us. It's just A, B, A1 and A2. And if she stood in that place, we could have shot this down. And guess what? We've been talking about how women with alopecia now got the right to stand up and just say, hey, this is me. This is how it is, and this is how it's going to be.
Baby, bring that bald head here, girl.
Right.
And, and again, I just go back to how we talked about how women are expected to take the brunt of whatever it is. We quoted in the last one, Malcolm X said the one black woman is the most unprotected, most neglected, and most
disrespected.
Disrespected person on this planet. And there we are, Chris Rock again. He was well aware, especially he's in Hollywood.
Terrible.
He know how important looks are there. Her hair, a number of things. She shared this, and to attack her again, this is not. I hate to keep having to say this is not me justifying violence.
No, you're right, Flex. No, you're right. He's a coward.
Why can't we just focus on the offense initially? Yeah. Stop offending people.
Exactly. I said this. It's like this. Back in the day, everybody knows if you play with fire, you are liable to get burned, right?
Facts.
But nowadays, we don't take that into people's saying stuff, especially comedians. They're like, oh, well, I said it. Okay, but you're still liable to get burned. You know what I mean? Whether figuratively or literally.
But look, guys, if you look at the history of the Oscars, that's what they do, is do those zingers. That's what they do, all the comedians. Now, it's a shame he picked Jada because he thought that was low-hanging fruit and he could get an easy laugh. Right. He didn't pick none of the white people to really attack. That's all it was, because if you look at Ricky Gervais, he went in a couple of years ago, and a lot of those people at the Oscars, they couldn't. I mean, it was awkward. They were pissed at that dude. but they look at how Will reacted, and that's the sad part about it. The black man reacted a certain way, and the white people say, there we are. Yeah.
It ain't just black people, it's the black people too.
Yeah.
You gotta remember that they're now saying that this wasn't even practiced in rehearsal, so they weren't aware that this was going to be his joke.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah, I believe that. Hey, so let's go to this commercial, then we'll come back and we'll let Coach D plug.
Without the honor, Baba. Here's the life of the real Rasta Master. No fame to proclaim the real Rasta Master. Don't have to follow, cause I be doing this with or without the honor. Baba, who was the nappy one to put you on? The first to stimulate you when your mental wasn't calm. The Rasta, who's the master?
Yo,
man, I love that damn song, bro. That's nice, man.
Peace, soul for those that were able to get few of those seconds. That is the second single from my upcoming LP, The Rasta Master. I go by Furious Styles. If you're familiar with Boys in the Hood, I've taken on that moniker as my goal, my mission to teach through my music. So that single is out. It's currently streaming on YouTube. You can catch it at G Joint Productions. Also, all social media platforms, G Joint Productions. I love it. And my desire is you're able to rock with it too. So thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I see we are at a special point of tonight, and you and I have prepared some love letters to our men. So I wanted you to go ahead and start, and then I will read mine. And then, men, after we're finished, we would love to hear your feedback as we close out another wonderful event on the Floor Is Yours podcast.
Okay, and as I said, I'm not a script girl, so I don't really write. I just kind of listen. And so sitting here tonight listening, there's a song that helped me get to a place that I could release my father and forgive him. And it was called Daddy, right? And you all may all be fathers or not, but it's just the fact of being a man. I just want to say that I have now realized that life even happened to y'all. And I'm sorry that you didn't have places that were able to groom you and to nurture you and to take your wounds and to soothe them and to pamper them and to help you heal, that you didn't have an outlet, or that your voice was taken from you at a young age and that nobody allowed you to speak your truth or to speak your hurt. I'm sorry that we were not taught to be the healing balm instead of this angry place where we want to belittle you or to take away from who you are in society and what you should be in the household, simply because nobody was there for you. But what I offer you now is a place to say that I thank you for showing your scars. I thank you for sharing your wounds. I thank you for being more transparent. I thank you for just being to a place now that you're able to get on a platform to share with the world on how now, or to with men that it is, and women, that it is okay to be in this place, but it isn't okay to stay there. That you have now found a different rhythm and a different groove to now come and to be the heartbeat of what you need to be to us, so that we can thrive together and to make this life more lovable and flourishing, that you are beautiful gardens. And I just pray that every seed that you have in you is now being watered by the women as a whole, not just the women in your lives, but us as women that are pouring into you, so that now you begin to bloom and to blossom and to be this beautiful fragrance that we need in order to just live together as one. And just let everybody know that we, just as a culture, that we don't have to be divided as male or female, that we can come together, and the bouquet of what love and life is supposed to be between a black man and a black woman can flourish, and it could be what the world needs to see, and that it does exist. So I salute you on tonight, and I love you. I love you. I love you to life.
Awesome, queen. Awesome, queen. So, dear black man, I see you. The strength, your stature, and the gentleness of your heart. I apologize on behalf of our society for impacting your ability to show up unapologetically yourself from the start. You have been emasculated since you touched the American coast, but I'm here to tell you, King, you can let go of that tough exterior, for the inner warmth of you is what us queens need for support. I know you are a provider, but don't kill yourself being a human doer. My girl Tony Jones reminds us that we have been called to be human beings. So let this be the night that you lay down your Superman cape and just be. You are needed. You are handsome. You are intelligent. You are innovative. You hold a solution to a problem in this world. So please see your worth and know your dream is for the taking. I apologize to you for the rooms you weren't allowed to cry in, or the moments of trauma because they believe all of what was thrown at you, you could take. I see you, King. Adjust your crown. The world is ready for you. Are you ready to start now? So we love you guys. We would love to hear your feedback as we close out this amazing part 2 of the love letter to women.
I want to first say, Black woman, I love you. Like, thank you. And coming from that, I guess, paradigm, from somebody who up until about maybe 3 months ago struggled with friendships of the opposite gender, because of, the way I was brought up, because of programming, to hear those words, just being able to be who you are, understanding that it's not all your fault, but you're able to now heal, and understanding that we do have that ability to just show up and be human together. I think that is a big thing. A lot of us don't realize we can be human. What we see is the made up image of a man. And then when I say made up, it's made up because no one, even in our minds, has really measured up to that image. It's always, we're trying to get there. So to be able to just be human, it is definitely a sigh of relief, is a weight off our shoulders. And thank you.
Well, I just want to say thank you for the letters, and realize that it's okay to be vulnerable as a Black man. It is okay to be vulnerable. And like she said, lay down that Superman cape. And when I'm talking to you guys, I'm talking to myself, because I felt like I'm one of the toughest individuals in the world, especially working in a prison environment. I just know to be tough, I have to be tough. So it's okay to be vulnerable. Thank you.
I say for me, what Miss Icy said is that life happened to us. Noticing that, just seeing that, and actually acknowledging that as a woman is very, very powerful to me. And then it also means that both of these, in that Coach G said, is just being human. A lot, because once you realize that life has happened to us as well, that means you have humanized us, and that means that you just see us, and then that's when those questions happen, and that value that you show from us happens, and that's the powerful part of just noticing that no matter who it is, we're all human, and that we have lives too, and that we have reactions and thoughts and feelings as well. No matter what we have to do, shoulder many faces and wear many hats as men.
I'll let Jamel go, then I'll finish.
So for me, y'all can hear me good?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting that you said that life happened to us, and I went through a lot of my life, not being a victim, very hard. I wouldn't even acknowledge the fact that I experienced the things that I did. You understand what I'm saying? I hid in the shelter of my mother. You understand what I'm saying? I watched her endure the things that I watched her endure, and I just knew that she was the one that kept me safe. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have a father in the house. She's the one that kept me safe. She's the one that provided. She's the one that did all these things. And after listening to y'all tonight, it's something that I realized outside of me being whole, right? Because the truth in and of itself is whole. The truth is compiled of facts, statement of facts. You understand what I'm saying? It takes a statement of facts, a compilation of facts, in order for you to form the entire truth. And in my personal opinion, we're all facts, both Black men and women. I appreciate the fact that you guys understand the value and the importance of both facts coming together in order to form the whole truth of the matter. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate y'all.
Yeah, and just real brief for myself, for sake of time, I'm reminded how we have normalized dysfunction and how we have taken it on, and we keep saying how we've had to be resilient. Thank God for resiliency, because it has gotten us through. But I pray that we all can get to a time to where we can do the things that you ladies have called us to do. take off the cape. And I can tell you, it's difficult. 26 years in the military. I grew up, not just there, man. My mom, she's one of the strongest persons I've ever been around. And people come and tell me that know my mom. They're like, boy, that's where you get it from. And I just remember sometimes like, man, I don't want to be strong. I want to be able to lean on, people, and not even just lean on. I don't want to even have to lean on anybody, man. I just want to be who I am. And if I want to sit down and not, then just what I want to do. So I encourage all you all to that are listening out there. It's good to hear it from these women on this panel, but you got men in your life. Go out and do the things that we're talking about. Don't just, like the show and share it, which is important. Please do that. But man, let the people know that's in your immediate that they are enough that you can team with them and partner with them in this thing called life, because it's power in numbers. We were not meant to do this together alone. Relationship is that where we are dependent on each other. So let's do that. Let's lift each other when we understand that we are broken in certain areas, acknowledge it so that we can begin to heal. Like IC said, we life happened to us, but let's figure out how that we can overcome and not be, what we've had to endure in the past.
Gerard, can I
Honestly,
say this one last thing? This is one of my love notes. I hadn't printed it yet, but it says transparency and vulnerability are the new freedom. A mask is no longer a complimentary accessory. So that means that you guys, or you men, have chosen to take off the mask and to know that your freedom is now yours to have. And so that mask is no longer yours to wear. It's not a compliment anymore. So freedom is yours. So continue to be vulnerable and transparent, because there are other young men and older men, seasoned men, that need you all to continue on this journey. All right.
Yeah.
I see. Honestly, you snatched the entire thought right out of my head. I was actually gonna go off of what Flex said. Am I coming through clearly?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You are.
Yeah. I was gonna go off of what Flex said about taking off your cape. I personally don't think y'all should ever make us take our capes off. I don't. I think you should inspire us to not dress up like Clark Kent anymore.
The mask. Come on
You
now.
understand what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
that's why I say you snatched the thoughts right out of my head. Honestly, we've been Clark Kent for so long, forgetting just what it is that we are. You understand what I'm saying? Like, and I need to lean on you. I can't pick up this kryptonite alone. I can fight the bad guys. I can jump over buildings. I can stop a moving train. I can't get the kryptonite, and I need you, black woman, to pick up that kryptonite for me in order for me to keep being the Superman that you need me to be. You understand what I'm saying?
One more additive. Not to beat a dead horse about the Will Smith thing, but at an interview afterwards, Tiffany Haddish said that the situation gave her hope. So I just want to say that to all men. No matter what the backlash, do things that will give women hope.
Man,
Yeah.
that's everything like that.
So we're gonna
Yes,
go
sir.
to the last commercial, but I want everyone on the panel to have one parting thought ready, because we're gonna close us out shortly.
The Up Center is having a community health and resource fair. This event will be April 30th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Brighton Rock AME Zion Church in Portsmouth, Virginia. There will be free screenings such as vision, hearing, blood pressure, hemoglobin A1C, and sports physicals. Registration is required for vaccinations, boosters, and mammograms. There will be workshops you can attend. Journey to Motherhood by the Up Center and 757 Breastfeeds. Fatherhood Mental Health by Neurospace and Loving Steps. Curvaceous Fitness by Tamika Harris. And Nana Chats by Project Nana. This event is fun for the whole family. There'll be vendors, food, and raffles. To register for the event, go to Eventbrite and type in Community Health and Resource Fair, or use the QR code. This event is supported by Old Dominion University College of Health Sciences, Brighton Rock AME Zion Church, Centera, and Anthem's Health Keepers Plus. For more information about this community, please email Deborah Carlos at deborah.carlos@theupcenter.org. We look forward to seeing you there.
Awesome. So I just want to shout out Deb Carlos. Listen, that's Mars' wife, y'all. So if you are in the Hampton Rose area on April 30th. The Up Center is hosting an amazing community resource event. We can no longer say that we don't know the resources in our community because we're bringing them to you. And also, you're going to see Mars up there. He's going to be talking about mental health as well as related to fatherhood. King, is there anything else you want to share about that before we do our closing remarks?
Absolutely not. Just come out, join your community resources, have some fun. April 30th on that. Then in May 21st, we're gonna do Building Bosses in that in Norfolk community. So come on out.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and our part in remarks, guys, and then we'll let you guys go for the night. And I just want to say thank you for everyone who lasted with us. We really hope from this. That is really my desire. So parting thoughts, panel.
I guess I'm the rookie. I'll go first. My thoughts were this was very intuitive. I got way more than I really underestimated what I was going to get out of this. And I really appreciate the thoughts and opinions. Everything was well said and well put together. One of the things I want to end with is a quote is, try to be a rainbow in someone's cloud. Just remember that. Try to be a rainbow in someone's cloud. Here goes a shameless plug. Listen to my new podcast, Frankly Speaking. Frankly Speaking. New episodes drop Friday. Every Friday it's a sports podcast, and it's going to be on. It's on Amazon. It's on Spotify. It's on Google, and I'm working on my Apple ID right now. But it's anywhere you get your podcasts. That's all I got. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for having me.
Congratulations, Hart.
Yes.
Thank you.
Is you up there next?
Oh yeah, peace. I want to say, live, like take today and live, because yesterday can't get back tomorrow. It's not promised. So gentlemen, if y'all listening out there in the world, it is okay to embrace your humanness. I can guarantee you, once you embrace it, you will feel so much better. You will feel alive. You will feel human. You'll feel the universe come alive in you. And it is definitely a blessing. Just shout out to everybody. Shout out to everybody with everything everyone is doing between the podcast, the music. Those that don't know, I did a live show last night. It was crazy. It was wild. I loved it though. Excellent. So just be on the lookout, new music and all that. I just want to see everybody succeed. Yes.
Awesome. Jamil?
Yeah, I'm going to say, in the process of you embracing your humanity, don't use your humanity to remove the humanity of another. You can't, it's okay with you bleeding. You know what I'm saying? It's okay with you being able to express yourself, and it's okay for you to show what it is that you're feeling. It's not okay for you to allow those things to inhibit another person's humanity. It's not okay for you to put a person in another position where they have to be something that they're not. You understand what I'm saying? If I'm not a fighter, why are you approaching me with violence? You know what I'm saying? If that's your humanity, if that's how you move, you know what I'm saying? So that's my closing thoughts. Let everybody be human. You know what I'm saying? Expect the fact that y'all wasn't raised the same way. Expect the fact that I found out just literally last year, not everybody heat their house up with the oven during the wintertime when they was in the hood. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know that. I thought every black person heat their crib up with the oven at one point in time in their life. You know what I'm saying? But everybody's not the same. You feel me? And that's something I know it sounds so rudimentary and so simple, but it's really true. Like, yo, we're not the same. And it's okay for you to learn from me in the same way that I learn from you. And I'm not going to get in your way, or as the Christians would say, present myself a stumbling block. Understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
I'm going to say, come out to the community event so you can see what I'm about. April 30th at Brighton Rock in downtown Portsmouth. Neurospace.llc on all platforms. Check that out, Instagram and TikTok. But my little piece of snippet is just basically just live like everybody's been saying. Do the best you can and realize not everybody's the same, like Jamil said. And that just comes with just mind your business. We wouldn't be talking about Will and Jada now if we was doing that anyways. You know what I mean? There's peace in minding your business. So take care and live, fellas.
I see, Queen.
I see has two. I'm gonna try to see. Okay, see this. See those two signs, those two canvases right there. Those are actually by my Black son, who is a creative content on Instagram. And one of them says, your habits will become your destiny. I want y'all to remember that. The other one says, consistency and persistence breeds success. And I want you to just know that. So you guys are forming habits, and that's gonna take you to your destiny, right? I just believe y'all gonna reach it. And one of my other ones up here, and even though it was written in a woman format, I want you to remember this. It says, I rediscovered, and I'm just gonna say the person I forgot existed when that person whispered, I'm ready to live again. And it says her purpose called her name. And I want you to know that your purpose is calling you forward. And I want you all to just take it by the rein and just go with it. And I'm going to end with what Coach G said. He said something about live. So I tell my children this, and I said to myself, may you live while you're living, but not die while you live. And I think you'll catch that, because so many of us are living, but we're technically dying because we're not doing anything with the life that we have. We just let things jump on us, and we grieve, and we get depressed, and we just, some things, death has to come through, because most of us are not depressed. We're grieving because a part of us has to die for the newness for us to show up. And so I will say this, just continue to live while you're living, but don't die while you live. That's my closing thoughts.
Awesome.
Keep on living.
So once again, people out there, we want to thank you all for spending this evening with us. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, put it on Black Planet. I know somebody still got their old Black Planet.
Black Planet.
Yeah, man. So put it up there too. I'm telling you, we got that reach. So yes, make sure everybody follows the Floor Is Yours podcast. Much more stuff coming at you through the rest of the week. Again, thank you, crew, for a great show. Thank you, audience, for tuning in. Let's go out for this outro. Peace, y'all.
Peace.
I'm writing this, try not to cry. You stabilize my environment, inspired when you have my eye. My youth was consumed by vain beauty. Little did I know that vanity could masquerade the unruly. Coolly high love times, we reminisce, paint a vivid picture. Rush to come and lift her. Brethren, I don't want to see another sister get left up, creep by another mister. Patience, no longer taking advantage of your innocence. Genetically superior, I had the vision this.
Awesome. So,
Hey, real quick, shout out to Kiana Garner. Thank you for being transparent and sharing us with us your battle with that condition. So, thank you for your transparency. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
well, again, this was part 2, y'all. If y'all want any special events, especially through the Culture Podcast, let us know, because we are opening up the door to the house. In our community, we like to close the door to true, real conversations, and that's what we're trying to do. So again, we want to thank y'all for coming out, and we're not going to hold y'all anymore. Peace and blessings. Remember, y'all are enough. Thanks, everybody.
Good night.